Hey champions, it's Tuesday. I hope you're having a wonderful day. There's a lot of cool things that are happening right now, so let's talk about them. First off, there were a bunch of videos that were put out yesterday. I know Steve-O put out some videos about pack openings. Casey Games put out some deck building stuff. He was doing like a sealed deck building thing where he took 6 packs and was just going through the process, I guess more practicing. I haven't watched the video yet, but I'm confident it's a great experience. Afterwards, after I do this vlog, I'm going to go watch it, leave a comment, because I always try my best to watch all the content that everyone's creating. So if I haven't left a comment on one of your videos, let me know. Let me know that you're creating content, and I'll love to come and watch that and celebrate with you. On top of that, I know that there was box opening that was done. There was Patreon packs that were opening. So a lot of really cool things happening on that front. I'll leave a link as always to the third-party video stuff that so you could go see that playlist and watch other people's content. And I really hope you are going to go watch other people's content and support them. So that's happening. The other thing is there's 2 live streams happening tonight. The one, which is our Exploring the Libraries, happens every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. where Alex and I talk about things related to Genesis and game design and all that kind of fun stuff. I don't know what our topic's going to be about yet, but if you have suggestions for a topic that you want to see us cover in a more extensive 1-hour talk, then let me know. I'd love to dig into that and cover that, because last week we actually talked about the stack, which was recommended by one of our community members. So if you have any suggestions on topics you want to see us address, then yes, let us know and we'll do that. Then the other live stream is I've been coordinating with Kitchen Table TCG. Hopefully everything's gonna happen and we'll be live streaming off their network and just doing some how to play videos, just some gameplay, and just enjoying the game as a whole. So we'll see how that goes. And I'll give you more details about it. As far as I know, our aim is to go live at 9 p.m. So once I have updates, I'll make sure I update people as best as I can. Alright, the other topic that's been rattling on in my head, and I think we're going to break this down and talk a little bit day after day about this, but something that I've been thinking about is ethical game design and ethical business practices. I watch a lot of videos about the grocery industry or the food industry, or just a bunch of different industry, and it's always been with a level of humor where you realize, oh, this is why they put the dairy section so far away, or this is why they put the the dairy section in one corner and the meat section in another, or why the moment you get into a mall you can smell Cinnabon. All this type of psychological tricks to help boost their sales and kind of manipulate you in a way to do what the business is looking at, trying to be as profitable as they can. So it's always been with a level of humor. However, there's a time where businesses go too far, right? If you are someone who well, no, let's not go down that path. But so the first time this really experience, I really felt this, was when I was in my first year of university. This was around the time, really early days of World of Warcraft, and I knew a lot of people were getting into that game and just played it obsessively. And this was not an uncommon story of people dropping out of university, failing their classes, or neglecting to take care of themselves because of how addictive the game was. And they say it's an addiction because it was truly an addiction. They couldn't stop themselves, and it was starting to harm the people around them, not just themselves. So that has always been something that's on the back of my mind. This is part of the reason why I'm so hesitant about building a digital platform. Part of it is I do want to advocate very much for people to be playing in person, interacting with one another, and building communities. I think that's very important, not just for the gaming experience, but for the human experience. You need to have friends. Friends are very important, and having a support network, having people that you can lean on, especially when you're going through really tough times, because everyone goes through tough times. You need to know that there's a place you can go to where you can connect with other people and relax and deal with what you're going through. So that aside, the other side to it is that it's really, really easy in the pursuit of making sustainable company that has proper cash flow and is growing regularly for you to lean onto some of these business practices that are not the healthiest actions for your end user, right? And I talk about this a lot. I would always be sad if there's a moment where someone says, should I play Genesis or should I go eat food? I'm like, go eat food. That's important for you. So these are the questions that come to my mind a lot as we design, as we build out the game. What are we doing that might lead down to an addictive behavior? And how do we educate our players to not go down that path? Where profit and growth are important for a company, and you shouldn't think that's a bad thing. It's essential for a company to have proper cash flow, but at the same time, how we get that revenue is very important. Who we are, why we do what we do, and how we do it, those are very important questions to be asking yourself as you're either building out your own company or you're evaluating the company that you purchase product from. So that's the beginning of this conversation. We'll talk in a little bit of segments every now and then about this, but it's just one of those things that's rattling through my head. So let's talk about Smoke Bomb. So I personally love this card. I think I was the one who very much advocated that it should be in the set, even though a lot of people don't play Smoke Bomb. It has lost a lot of favor over the years. When it first came out, it was very heavily played because it was one of the best defensive cards. I think over time it became predictable, and that becomes the folly of a lot of cards. The moment it starts becoming predictable and your opponent starts playing around it, then you have then the card doesn't have favor in your deck. You replace it with other things that your opponent can't play around as easily, but hopefully in time you get the opportunity to start playing with these cards again. So Smoke Bomb is a 6G card with back awareness. This is, I think, the only card in the game that has this awareness. Axon only. It's swift, move, 10 aura, 3 energy, and then move to a spot in Smoke Bomb's awareness. Some of the common questions I get about this is if that spot directly behind you is occupied, can you move to the other spot in that awareness? And yes, you don't have to you don't move into one spot then into the other. When the card's resolving, you go to either of those two spots. It's up to you to decide, and you don't have to decide when you go to play the card, just upon resolution of the card that you're making that decision. Another thing that holds this card back is its cost. 10 aura and 3 energy. The 3 energy is not super high. That's manageable. The 10 aura is definitely a decent amount. We talked about the 10% rule. This is now tailored for champions who have 100 aura or more. And even then, it's not the greatest because you're looking at 6G, which is pretty high up there, and 10 aura, which is quite a bit. Now, the advantages you have here is the fact that if you have a summon behind you who could be used as a really solid tank, you can Smoke Bomb behind them. You can beckon a summon right behind you, then Smoke Bomb behind them to gain some distance from your opponent. And the other thing is that if your opponent's not expecting it, this can give you a lot of mobility at times where seemingly you have none. I love this in the Rain Can't Touch This deck, where a lot of what you run is evasion and your win con is Rain herself. So looking purely at this artwork, this is done by Alex. And then excuse me for a second there. Really great artwork. I think this depicts the feeling of dropping the Smoke Bomb and teleporting away. Kind of those old classic ninja-esque move. You just drop the Smoke Bomb and then you're out of it. This card did have a previous printing. It's actually been in the game since Alpha. This is the beta version of it. This one was done by Damian. That's why I stumbled a little bit on the artist. It used to be an uncommon, and then it got shifted down in J2 as a common. And that's partly because of how often we were seeing play. We weren't seeing enough play to justify keeping this card in the uncommon slot. And it's just a simple move. Yeah, the cost is a little bit on the complex end, but the function of the card itself is very standardized. So for that reason, it doesn't need a reason to be in the uncommon slot. The first debut of this card was actually as a promo. It was done as our very first open house hosted at Forbes Hobbies. Very few copies of this card were printed, and it was the special part about this one and all alpha printings of Smoke Bomb is that the quote on the card is not it's not Rain who says it. It says quote by Carl Lilly. This was before Carl joined the game design team. He pitched a bunch of people pitched their flavor text for this card. Carl's was the one that I enjoyed the most, so that's the one that stuck in the game. After he joined the game design team, we switched this over, starting in beta, to say it's a quote from Rain. So that's kind of a neat little tidbit about this card. The promo version I know is especially hard to find, so if you get your hand on it, that's pretty cool. Let's go back to this. So does this card still have a future in this game, or do I expect players to play it? I would be very surprised if I see people run a lot of it. I could see the occasional deck running one or two of them. I still think it's a really, really fun multiplayer card because it gives you... The nice part about multiplayer is it gives you an opportunity to play cards that you normally wouldn't see, because the objective of the game is different at that point. It's not just trying to kill one person, you're trying to kill a lot of people. So survival is more important than damage output. So Smoke Bomb is a really great survival card. It often does get replaced by Chrono Walker. Chrono Walker is 7 or more, but it does allow you to play it in a lot more situations. So Smoke Bomb is hindered by, are those two spots in that awareness both occupied and accessible? So it doesn't take you off the board, and neither of those spots are occupied, then you can play Smoke Bomb. Chrono Walker, no matter the situation, you can always play Chrono Walker. And on top of that, if Chrono Walker survives, you get yourself a pretty big summon out of it. Now, the downside to Chrono Walker is, again, that steep cost. 17 aura is pretty high for quite a few champions. If you're playing Rain, that doesn't give you a lot of them that you can play per game and still have aura to spend on other things throughout. So Smoke Bomb, I still think, is a solid alternative. I would take it in a draft. I would run it in a casual multiplayer deck. On the competitive scene, I think running 1 or 2, because it is something your opponent's not going to see coming, and it can give you a lot of advantage. Plus, it allows you to do some really interesting plays where you can move potentially 4 squares in a single turn. So if you need to get to the other side of the board without having to Living Shadows or play Teleport or something like that, Smoke Bomb will get you there. But again, it's not a card that I would see anyone spamming. So be conservative on how many you play with them, but also try the card out. I think in certain situations, this card will give you a lot more advantage than having Chrono Walker or Teleport in your timeline instead. That's everything I have to say about Smoke Bomb. I hope you join us for our live streams this evening. That's it for today. Have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you tonight. Bye.